What's up everybody, I'm Sparkus, and in this video I want to talk about a new type of video that is going to be uploaded from now on this channel, GAGAS reviews, the new standard in gaming reviews. And this video is split into two parts. In part 1, I want to talk about the system, how I want to review those games, and what sort of a philosophy is standing behind GAGAS reviews. And most importantly, I want to talk about the rating of the video games at the end of every GAGAS review. And well, basically, there is no rating. Now I know what you think. It's just, another reviewer who has another fake non-rating scale, which is still basically a rating scale, just with less numbers or whatever. But no, my rating, or verdict, how I like to call it, is actually quite simple. At the end of every review, I want to make some points on why you should or should not buy the video game. That's basically it. Because I think a game is not just like a 9 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10 or gold, silver, bronze or whatever. I wouldn't even know where to start, seriously. No, just no. Every game is different and every gamer is different. Everybody just likes some different kind of mixture of video games. Everybody has their types and so on. And every video game is to some extent appealing to some sort of a player. And this is what I want to put into my verdict at the end of every review, and resulting from the whole GAGAS review to make the crucial points for you to decide if this game is for you or not. So yeah, this is what the first part of this video is about. And in the second part of the video, if you're interested, I also want to talk about the reasons why I decided to make video game reviews, how the name came to be, stuff like that. Alright, let's begin. It's called GAGAS because those reviews are completely gaga and they have a pile of shit at the end. Basically, just like the video games, the publishers try to shove down our throats. Am I right? Now, seriously though, the abbreviation GAGAS is already in use by the United States Government Accountability Office, and it stands for Generally Accepted Government Auditing Standards. Now, these are the framework for conducting high-quality audits with competence, integrity, objectivity, and independence for auditions of government entities, financial institutions, blah 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 blah, boring. Now, in our case here, GAGAS stands for Generally Accepted Gaming Auditing Standards. That's why it's the new standard in gaming reviews. And I think that it also provides me with a framework to conduct high-quality audits for video games with competence, integrity, objectivity, and independence. What framework, you ask? Well, it's quite simple. GAGAS also stands for graphics, audio, gameplay, amusement, and story. Now, I already said that every game is different, so how do I want to review every game with these 5 points? Well, I did some research for myself and I found out that these 5 points are basically the essential parts, in my opinion, that apply to every game. Let's take story, for example. I mean, there are many games out there that don't really have a story. True, but first, they kind of have a story that builds the setting that the game is built on. And second, it is often a playground for you to write your own story. And this playground of possibilities to write your own stories is what I mean that every game, to some extent, has a story to tell, even if it's your own individual one. With graphics, well, guess what? I'm gonna talk about graphics. Sure, graphics are not the most important thing in video games, but let's gotta be honest. Graphics are important. Having a good-looking game is essential to feel comfortable with it. If it looks like shit, you don't want to play it. And the games don't really need to have the newest, most realistic 4K HDR graphics. No, it's not the most important part. It totally depends on the game and the art style they're gonna use. And this is what I want to talk about in the graphics section of my reviews. Also in this part, I will talk about, bugs, glitches, and technical issues with the game, if they occur or not. Audio is a thing that I think many reviewers are completely forgetting about. And well, to be honest, it's easy to forget because often music and audio is there for you to not to notice. It's a really weird thing sometimes, but in my opinion, it's music that can also make and break a game. So this is what I want to talk in the audio section about the voiceover, if they're good or bad, about the music and the sound effects. Basically everything that, comes out the boxes into your ears, if it's a delight or not.
You make every shot count. You see, I believe everything happens for a reason.
Gameplay. Now, gameplay is probably going to be the biggest part in most reviews. There, I want to talk about the gameplay mechanics in general. Are they intuitive? How is, well, the gameplay itself? If it's, for example, a first-person shooter, does it feel intuitive to play and shoot and kill? If it's a third-person shooter, is it good to run from cover to cover, stuff like that? Does it feel natural? What kind of possibilities do you have, for example, in an open-world game? Is it a sandbox game like Fallout or the Elder Scrolls? Can you do a lot of mayhem like in GTA 5? Or is the open world just there, for example, just, because it's just level design and you can't really do much out there in the open world, just like in the Mafia series, basically. But there are way too many examples to what to talk about in the gameplay section. So let's talk about it while we're reviewing the game, shall we? And the amusement section is, well, it's a thing of its own. Because I can say that the graphics were amazing, the audio was just fine, the gameplay was rock solid. It was a story-driven game, so nothing really to complain there. But still, my amusement while playing the game was, well, that wasn't really that out of the ordinary. A good example for that is, I think, The Order. On the other hand, there could be a game that just has graphics from 2003, audio that sounds like it was made in the basement, gameplay that is basically just fine, you can work with it, but still, you have so much fun playing it. It's just amazing. A good example for that is, for example, Mountain Blade. It's in the other points, it's at best a mediocre game. But if it comes down to amusement, it's just so fun to run around with your own pack of mercenaries, take over cities and so on. It's just fun and addictive. And, well, this is what I mean, that amusement is a thing of its own. The other parts can be rock solid and even great, but the amusement of the game is, well, not so good. Or the other way around, or in the perfect package, everything is great and the amusement is just great. For example, like in The Last of Us, which was just amazing in every regard. But the same goes also for GTA 5, The Witcher 3 and many other games. And I hope there are also more to come. Alright, so I already talked about video games that don't really have much of a story. But what about games that actually have a story? Well, of course, that's what I want to talk about in the story section. But I also know that many of you don't really want to know basically anything about the story, and you don't want to get, any spoilers or something like that. So for you guys, I try to keep the whole review completely spoiler-free, except for the story section, of course. But even there, I will try to limit myself to what the developers and the publisher and the PR department has given out in terms of the story in the first place, and don't really want to talk about much more other than that. But then again, in bigger games like, for example, in Fallout, I will talk also a bit more about, the main story is not that much of a big thing there. More all the other little stories that are coming with the side quests and so on that are more interesting, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about there also. But if you don't want to get spoiled in any way whatsoever, I will also give every time a warning, when I'm gonna get to the story section. And I'm also gonna put in on the video like a mark, so you can skip the whole part of the story section if you choose to not to even have the slightest chance of getting spoiled. Even though I do not really recommend you to do so, but as the customer is king in retail, the viewer is my king and queen in YouTube. So if you want to skip the story part, it's up to you, and I don't want to stand in the way, but I think the story is pretty much always a very essential part of the video game itself, and I recommend that you watch that too, but again, I leave it up to you. What I also think is worth mentioning is that I don't want to limit myself on the order on how I will put up these 5 points. So even though in probably most games I will go for graphics, audio, gameplay, amusement and story, I still want to take, the freedom to switch around those parts in the order how I'm going to talk about them in the review, because, well, some game might demand to talk first about the story, or the other game first about the gameplay, stuff like that. So I think this is the kind of a freedom that I need to take so I can make great videos for those reviews. Alright, so these are the 5 areas that I'm gonna use to look closely at those video games that I'm going to review. Now, at the very end, I will make a verdict about the game, and there I will make 2 sides basically with points for you to decide if you want to buy the game, or if you should buy the game, or if you don't want or you shouldn't buy the game. I will try to give you reasons on both sides, And if the game also gives reason to, I will also give you reasons for maybe, you know, for why you should wait for the game, for example, because it's at the moment just a bit broken, but it has a huge potential. Or maybe it's just not that there in the price range, so you should probably wait for a sale or something. So I will try to give you some reasons and points for you to decide if this is a game for you or not, if you can find yourself in some of the points or not. Now, I don't want to make just, you know, some points, oh, this is a first-person shooter, so you should like first-person shooters, and this is like a strategy game, so, oh yeah, you should like strategy games. No, that's just stupid. Well, because, duh, seriously. No, I really want to make some points about the game, and, well, these will be individual to each and every game, so I will try to make some, you know, put some brain work behind it, so I can make valued points for you to decide if this is a game for you or not. Alright, so this is basically GAGAS review. And well, now to the second part of the video, where I'll explain why I decided that I need to make reviews on my channel and so on. And well, basically it started with the end, with the verdict. Now I'm recording this at the end of October, and it really started to me, you know, the thought that I would have to do some reviews at, you know, the second half of August. Because of one game that I'm pretty sure a lot of you know, No Man's Sky. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't want to start reviews because I think that No Man's Sky was a bad game. No, because so many people that I know and so many people on the internet were just always asking, well, should I buy this game? Is it good? Is it bad? What can I expect from this game? And on my part, I'm really torn apart, and so is basically the gaming community. It's torn apart about this game. One side says it's great, it has like a huge open world and all these planets look beautiful and so on, blah blah blah. It's just huge, and you have the freedom of like going everywhere and so on. While on the other side, there are also people, and that's also me in one part, that says, well, there's not really that much that you can do. At some point it's boring. I had some really great hours with the game, but at some point it wasn't really that good anymore. And I get it, a lot of people just don't really have the time to spend 30 hours in a game to, you know, fully appreciate it. And then after the 30 hours you're more like, okay, well, that's fine. Okay, now at some point it would be nice if something would happen and so on. So it's not that I say, oh yeah, the ones who don't like No Man's Sky just don't get it, or the ones who like No Man's Sky are just stupid idiots. No, because, well, first of all, I'm also torn with this game in both sides. One side says it's a really great game, it was really fun to explore the worlds, and it also looked in many regards really beautiful. On the other hand, there's also one side of me that after a couple of hours just says, well, that either could have been a bit shorter, or you know, just put in some more content in it somehow. That would be even better. That would be just great. Maybe keep those promises that you made, like at least like 1% of those. Stuff like that. You know, there's like a side of me that is disappointed, and then another side that is not really disappointed because it didn't really expect that much from the game, but still a lot more was promised. And so, yeah, I think you can see why I thought, yeah, I need to make some reviews, and that I just could not make a normal rating scale on, you know, like give No Man's Sky a 7 out of 10 or something, or a 9 out of 10, because that wouldn't really represent the game for you as an individual, if it's for you a game that you want to play and pay $60 for or not. And so to really distinguish that, I think that with the verdict that I come up with, I think I'm pretty much on a good way to tell you about the benefits of the game for you or not. So alright, by the end of August, the decision was basically made. I want to make reviews on my channel. So the next problem that I had was to figure out what kind of a style of a review I want to make. So I made some research, and I looked at other reviewers and read some other reviews, and well, in the end it came down to the 5 points that I have in the GAGAS review: graphics, audio, gameplay, amusement, and story. At least in the reviews that I like to watch and read, these parts were basically always there. So there I was. I had my review rating scale, quote unquote. I had my review style. What I needed now was a name. And what's funny is that kind of from the beginning, I had in my head, you know, the name Gaga Reviews, because it's Gaga. It's stupid. The games are stupid, the review is stupid, the reviewer is stupid, YouTube is stupid. And I mean, look at all these comments and many videos out there in the comment section. It's just ridiculously stupid. So I kind of played in my own hands with the, you know, Gaga Reviews, and also with the abbreviations for graphics, audio, gameplay, and amusement. Now, at first, I didn't really like, you know, the word amusement. I rather would have chosen the word entertainment, and the story was missing in Gaga Reviews, obviously. So I was trying to figure out, you know, with different combinations of the first letters, with the, you know, so I can have like a abbreviation that kind of makes sense. So the only thing that I found was basically GAGAS or gorgeous, but, you know, like a different writing style. But this was basically just a scale and would go in the completely different direction that I wanted to actually have with my reviews, until I discovered that the United States Government Accountability Office already uses the abbreviation GAGAS for the generally accepted government auditing standard. And when I saw this, I thought, well, this is just perfect. Fate was just, you know, telling me there, dude, that's the name for it, that's your style, that's your reviews, just do it! And there we have it, guys. My motivation behind the reviews and how it basically came together to that name and to the style that we have right now. So I hope you like this video, have a little bit of an insight on how the system works and how I kind of came to it. If you're new to the channel and still watching this video, I'm pretty sure you should subscribe, because we're gonna have a ton of fun together reviewing and playing games in the future. Alright, so that's it for this explanation video. So stay awesome, and I hope to see you in the comments of some of those reviews. See you around. Bye bye.